This is a fairy tale fanfiction called Confessions. It's got a little note at the beginning. Note: I'm not the best writer. I'll try and improve though. I love writing smut, but I'm finding it so hard sometimes. Anyway, please enjoy. Sorry if there are any mistakes. Right. Lucy sighed heavily at the huge amount of paperwork left on her right-hand side. The whole group, Urza, Gray, Wendy, Natsu, and Lucy, were sorting out files in the student council room as a punishment after accidentally destroying the school. After destroying the sports hall. Grabbing a handful of sheets, Lucy continued sorting them in the correct piles. Punishments like these were a weekly thing for her group of friends ever since she transferred to Fairy Academy. They mainly involved Natsu, Urza and Grey getting too carried away and breaking a few things. Lucy and Wendy didn't do anything destructive, yet they were still blamed. This is so boring. I'm getting so tired of seeing piles of paperwork, Lucy cried suddenly, causing the rest to jump in surprise. It can't be helped. This is our punishment. Now get on. The quicker you are, the quicker you can leave, said Urza sternly, returning back to her pile. Me and Wendy had nothing to do with it. It was all you three, Lucy shouted, pointing a finger in Natsu's direction. Can't be helped, right? Natsu said as he laughed lightly. Lucy raised her eyebrow, comparing her pile of sorted paper to Urza's. You could tell Natsu hadn't been trying at all. Lucy could definitely see that he had just thrown them.
Can you stop you a minute?
Yeah.
She compared her pile to Urza's and she saw that Natsu had done nothing.
I don't know. Lucy could definitely see that he hadn't just thrown them around randomly. On the other side of the room, Gray and Wendy seemed to have teamed up and their paperwork stack was considerably high. Lucy sighed again. She had fuck that word, asking either Natsu or Urza to team up with her to finish the work quicker. When she asked Urza, the redhead simply told her that Lucy would slow her down. Lucy didn't even bother asking Natsu. She knew very well that she would be the one to do all the work. Suddenly, the student council doors glided open. There stood a innocent Mira Jane holding a large sum of books. Sorry to disturb your work, said Mira Jane cheerfully as she placed the books down to rest. I'm sorry to take you away, Urza, but Carl would like a helping hand. Of course, thank you, Mira Jane. I'll carry these, Urza said quickly, standing up and grabbing the books. Mira Jane had placed on the desk without strain. I'll leave the rest to you, she called before following Mira Jane out of the door. Hey, get back here, demanded Natsu, rushing over the door and knocking over Urza's paperwork, stacking in progress. Fuck, I read that wrong, I don't care. He didn't seem to notice what he had done, but the rest of the room had. My paperwork, the redhead said slowly, her voice quivering with anger.
Calm down,
Huh? Natsu turned and froze at the scattered sheets on the floor. He didn't dare to turn around. He could already guess what her facial expression was like. Diving through the sheets, he hastily collected all them before saying, Don't worry, Urza. I'll get these. You go on ahead. As Urza's and Mira Jane's footsteps died away, Natsu relaxed. Shit, I thought I was done for, he sighed heavily before going back to his own pile. Lucy looked around the room to see how everyone was doing. They had to do Urza's pile now that she had left, which made her evening all more disappointing. Lucy had hoped to go home, take a nice bath and read a new book all night, but seeing the sun setting through the windows extinguished her hopes. Maybe she could get a few chapters read before her scheduled bedtime. Lucy's trail of deep thought was interrupted when she heard the door slide open again. This time, it was shirtless Grey hunched over as if he was trying to open it quietly. Where do you think you're going? Demanded Lucy, standing up and placing her hands on her hips. Luke and I have plans, so I'm just gonna go now. See ya. Grey said quietly, hoping to escape as fast as he could. Oi, you aren't going anywhere, pervert, shouted Natsu, getting to his feet and yet again knocking over his own pile of paperwork. I've already done my share of the work, including Urza's. Wendy said I could go. Natsu and Lucy suddenly turned to Wendy, who was now blushing. I'm sorry, was all she could say. When they both turned back to Grey, he was gone, leaving the door open behind him. Get back here, you bastard. Natsu's words were cut off by Lucy grabbing him by the scarf and pulling him backwards. "Oh no you don't. If you go off, you won't come back," said Lucy, pulling him away from the door. "Sit." Natsu huffed and sat down, crossing his arms, walking back to the desk she was working on. Lucy slumped into a chair and yawned. How much longer to go? "Whoa, look at the sunset," cried Natsu, clambering over the desk to get a better view. As he did, he sent Lucy's... Wait, that... What? Oh, he sent Lucy's almost finished stack of files on the floor, scattering them everywhere. Lucy began to shake with rage. Never had she been so irritated and stressed in her whole life. Before Lucy could get a hold of Natsu, Wendy had grabbed her to stop her from doing so. "Calm down, Lucy-san," Wendy squealed, trying her best to hold on to shaking Lucy. "I'm going to kill him. I worked so hard on that." "Why are you so clumsy?" Natsu dragged Neil. "Shut up." Lucy roared, now using her feet to kick him in between the legs. "Whoa, watch it. I'm sorry, Luce. Calm down." Natsu flinched away from Lucy's high kicks that were coming dangerously close to his face as well as his groin.
Upcoming.
Groin.
Shut up.
Yes, I'm the groin.
The door yet divided open again.
Oh, did it?
No. Wait, what?
Oh.
Oh, nice. This is really... Oh, okay. It's really... The person really messed up. Right, okay. As the door shut, Natsu prepared himself for any surprise attacks on Lucy. However, Lucy seemed to have given up. She slumped back into a chair and sighed heavily again. "I can't be bothered doing this anymore. I thought I'd have a quiet night in without having to do this," Lucy complained, resting her forehead on the table. Natsu raised his eyebrow. He hadn't really seen Lucy this tired since they all went on a murderous class trip that Lucy didn't want to remember ever again. Glancing around the messy room, Natsu's eyes suddenly lit up with excitement. "Want to leave?" he whispered excitedly, placing both of his hands on the desk Lucy had her head on, and grinning at her messy blonde hair. "What?"
Sorry?
That's what it says here.
She
What?
had her head on. Why? Does she take it off regularly?
I don't know.
Oh, wait.
She was probably lying back with her head on the desk. "What?" Lucy asked, confusion in her voice. "Shall we just go home?" Natsu's grin almost covered half of his face. "What about these files?" Lucy said, suddenly finding herself on her feet. "Let's say we did 'em." His voice trailed off into a whisper. Natsu eyed the room before reaching to pick all of the sheets and clump them back together, not bothering to order them. Once he had made a messy pile, he threw it down on the desk and grabbed hold of Lucy's hand. "Don't let it get caught, so be quiet." Lucy found herself blushing as Natsu suddenly... Shut up! Lucy found herself blushing at Natsu suddenly grabbing hold of her hand. They walked slowly towards the door, flinging their bags over their shoulders quickly, getting ready for the chance to run. Natsu opened the sliding doors slowly without releasing Lucy's hand and peered down the corridor, looking and listening for any teachers. "Natsu, I don't think we should be doing it." Natsu's free hands suddenly covered Lucy's mouth to silence her. They both stood silent for a moment, listening to the footsteps that were growing quieter. Natsu didn't release her. They still stood very close to one another, listening hard. Lucy could feel Natsu's breath on her cheek as they remained quiet. Her heart started beating. "Ready?" Natsu grinned down at her before setting off at run, still holding tight of Lucy's hand. For fuck, what is it with this word? Fuck off, was all Lucy could manage to say as they shot down the corridor, adrenaline pumping through her bodies. Of course it wouldn't be such a commotion if they were caught. They would probably be sent back to even do more paperwork. However, Lucy didn't care. She felt excited at the thought that they could be caught at any minute.
Lucy's sad.
"Oi, get back here, these papers aren't organised," a booming voice suddenly shouted from them, causing them both to burst out laughing as they were running faster. They were out the academy now, still running as fast as they could without stopping. Lucy felt her heart would burst from how fast she was running. They didn't stop until they were outside of Lucy's house, still holding hands. Remind me why we did that again?" Lucy panted heavily, bending over to catch her breath. "Haha.
Can you not read?
I haven't felt like this in a while," said Natsu, panting heavily as well. "No, Joe, I'm trying not to laugh at the same time."
Wait, that's a left challenge.
No. After catching her breath, Lucy released Natsu's hand and unlocked her door. She was greeted by a warm, lovely, cosy room that still smelled like the flowers she had laid out the evening before. Lucy turned around to say goodbye to Natsu, but was surprised to see him striding past her and flopping onto her couch. Oi, what are you doing? Ha, just resting. That running took it out of me, Natsu said softly, stretching out and resting his arms behind his head.
Wait,
Lucy...
took what out of who?
It took out of me. Lucy stared at him for a second before sighing. She seemed to be sighing a lot this evening. Fine, you can rest here for a while. You can rest here while I take a bath. You better not be gone before you better be gone before I come out, Lucy instructed before dragging her feet off to the bathroom. Natsu scoffed. Who uses that word? Scoffed. Right. Shut up. The bath felt nice on Lucy's aching muscles. She could stay there all night if she pleased. However, the new book she... Shut up! However, the new book she brought was waiting for her on her bedside table, and how she yearned to read it. Half an hour passed and Lucy... Okay, it says Lucy get out the bath, but not Lucy... It doesn't say Lucy got out the bath.
That's Natsu speaking.
Feeling slightly sad to leave the warm water, wrapping a towel around her, she stepped into a joint living room / bedroom and stopped dead in her tracks. Natsu, what did I say? Lucy explained, holding the towel tighter to her body so it didn't fall off. I don't want to go yet, Natsu mumbled, sitting up straight and watching her intensely. But why not? Lucy felt hot under his gaze. Maybe it was just the bath she just had. I don't want to say. He turned his head away, watching the fire he just lit in the fireplace. Why are you acting like this? I don't light my fire without my permission. Knowing you'd burn my house down, Lucy complained, walking in front of him with her hands on her hips. You could live with me and happy if that happened, Natsu grinned, looking up at her. Don't change the subject, Natsu. Natsu waited a while Shut up. He's still staring at Lucy. She suddenly felt hot under his gaze again and decided to sit next to him on the couch, gripping onto his towel as she did so. I don't want you feeling lonely, said Natsu quietly, hoping she didn't hear. Excuse me? Natsu rolled his eyes and turned to look at her straight on. I don't want you to feel lonely, Luce, ever. Ever since your dad died and everything. You know I'm here, right?
Oh god.
Call on us anytime. Matt, stop! Call on us anytime, and we'll be here, especially me. I don't want you crying all by yourself. They stared at each other for a moment. Lucy had the urge to cry. What's up with you? She said quietly, with her voice trembling slightly. She stood up and turned away so she wasn't facing Natsu. Are you okay? I'm sorry. I said something too personal. Everyone did tell me to say it gently. I guess I didn't. I'm sorry, Lucy. Natsu's voice was full of concern. He was worried for her so much. He cared for her so much. Maybe more than he let on. Lucy couldn't stop the tears falling. She covered her mouth to suppress the sobs. No. She covered her mouth to suppress the sobs that wanted to escape her mouth. No one had ever told her something like this before, and it all came from the person she loved and cared about most in her life. She didn't want to see her. She didn't want him to see her crying. What would happen then? She couldn't break down in front of him. He would think of her as weak, wouldn't he? Before she could clear her throat, Natsu was already in front of her, smiling widely. Lucy turned to look away, but he held her face in his large, warm hands, wiping her tears away with his thumbs. He kissed her. Shut up!
Dad, just stop a minute. Just stop. That's the best description of hands ever.
I know.
Large, warm hands.
He gently kissed her forehead. Natsu, Lucy sobbed, pressing her face to his chest. Thank you. Natsu laughed softly and wrapped his arms tightly around her. Anything for you, Luce. He pulled up her chin between his forefinger and thumb, so now they were looking in each other's eyes. Lucy was cut off from Natsu's lips locking onto hers. The kiss was very warm and so soft, just how Lucy imagined kissing Natsu would be.
Why does everyone choose Bo Bastard from I Wanna Be Him?
I don't know.
Just carry on.
She found herself kissing him back just as passionately. When they partied, shut up, I'm trying not to laugh. When they partied, Natsu smirked. I thought you'd punch me, he said slowly, raising his eyebrows. You thought wrong. Lucy suddenly felt like she wanted to rip every inch of Natsu's clothes off and kiss him all over.
Bloody hell.
Natsu had always she had always found him attractive, and even more so when she fell in love with him. I certainly did. All Natsu wanted to do was rip the towel off of Lucy's body and make love to her until morning. He had been in love with Lucy for a long time. Could he say it? They did just kiss. Now was this the right time? Natsu, I love you. I always have. This is embarrassing to say. The words seemed to escape Lucy's lips without her realizing. Natsu's eyes widened. I love you too, Natsu grinned, kissing her again. This time they kissed with more urgency. Lucy grabbed hold of Natsu's scarf and tugged on it, bringing him closer to her body. She couldn't have been more happy in her entire life. What did she want to do before again? Without breaking the kiss, Natsu lifted up in the air. Lucy wrapped her legs around her waist. He walked over to her bed and laid her down gently, still kissing her passionately. Lucy moaned, everyone now and then, into Natsu's mouth, making him shiver. Still without breaking the kiss, he removed his shirt and scarf. Lucy noticed and sat up, helping him undo his pants.
Oh my god.
As she knelt, the towel slipped off her body and onto the bed. Natsu grinned and pinned her down, kissing her throat with hunger.
Pinned it down. This is a weird scene.
Lucy reached and pulled him closer, feeling his warm body on hers. Her head was spinning. Natsu kissed down on her chest, along her stomach, and stopping on her inner thigh. Whoa, Luce, you're already wet, said Natsu, smirking as he slid 2 fingers into her passage.
Wait. My PS4 controller just disconnected. No. My PS4 controller just disconnected, and as soon as you said he stuck his fingers in, it played out loud out of my TV.
Lucy cried as he gripped onto the bed sheets. Natsu started playing with Lucy's clitoris, licking it with a circular motion, and sending her into a wild frenzy. He picked up the pace as he penetrated her with his fingers, every now and then making contact with her G-spot. Natsu, her words were cut off from the thundering pleasure. No, don't. Her words was cut off from the thundering pleasure that shook her through her entire body. She had never felt an orgasm this powerful before. Who knew it would feel so good? Lucy was breathing heavily. As soon as she saw Natsu taking off his boxers, she sat up and pushed on his shoulders slightly for him to sit. Let me to you, she said nervously, admiring his length as he got comfortable. She held him gently and began stroking up and down. Lucy had never done this before. Somehow her instincts were taking over. She knew that she was doing something right, however, when she heard Natsu moan loudly. Shit, Lucy. That feels good, said Natsu through gritty teeth. Lucy smiled, pleased with herself. She picked up the pace, and every now and then she stroked the tip, causing Natsu to groan. Don't.
The tip. Oh,
Without.
What is that? The tip groaned. It's like his penis is making noise.
Without removing her hand, she started kissing and nipping the skin of Natsu's chest, feeling satisfied with herself when she heard him hiss and moan under his breath. Natsu placed her hand on her back to bring her closely.
Is he a snake?
I don't know.
No, it's
Lucy
because
giggled. Lucy
He's a cat,
giggled
he's a cat.
quietly as she started
cat.
stroking his shaft with more force, causing him to groan even louder. Lou, he arched his back as he came, pulling Lucy even closer in the process. She could even hear him panting heavily in her ear. Natsu, Lucy breathed, kissing his neck and collarbone. Lucy, lie down, said Natsu, pushing her shoulders gently so she was on her back. Lucy did so without complaint, smiling up at him as he positioned himself above her. I'm going to put it in, okay? I'll go slow. Lucy nodded. Natsu guided himself in slowly, watching for Lucy's facial reaction to see if it hurt. Ah, God, Lucy, you're so tight, panted Natsu through heavy breaths as he entered her. Lucy suddenly felt hot. She clung to the bedsheets again as he filled her. It was strange, yet it felt so good. Natsu hesitated for a few seconds when he was fully in. He placed both of his hands either side of Lucy's head, so he was directly above her, admiring her every curve. I'm going to move now. Tell me if it hurts. But oddly, it didn't. Lucy... Strangely, it felt good. Really good. Lucy started moaning, not caring how loud she was. The pleasure was intense. Natsu realised and started picking up the pace slightly, still cautious of not hurting her. Natsu, faster, panted Lucy, rubbing her hands through his pink hair. Natsu grinned at her request, and did so without complaint. He leaned forwards, and their hips met, moving ferociously. What the fuck? Together, as he thrust inside her. Lucy began to move her hips as well, gaining rhythm so they were moving together, increasing the pleasure. Shit, Lucy, cursed Natsu, pulling Lucy up so she now sat on his lap.
That's beatboxing.
He entered her again and carried on. Matt, don't.
Stop beatboxing.
He entered her again and carried on, biting and kissing her throat and shoulders.
Sorry, that just got me excited.
Natsu, Lucy moaned. Oh my God, don't. Natsu, Lucy moaned, wrapping her arms around his neck and rolling her hips forward. Natsu almost deafened her due to how loud the moan was that escaped his mouth. She did it over and over, loving the sounds coming from him. He gritted his teeth and started thrusting harder, making Lucy suddenly squeal. They both laughed breathlessly as they continued to move together. They both suddenly reached to the limit of orgasm, crying out in unison. Lucy grabbed Natsu's shoulders to steady herself. The orgasm rocketed her through her. Stop with that sound! The orgasm rocketed through her like a lightning bolt. Much stronger than the first. Natsu rested his forehead on Lucy's shoulders for a while, breathing heavily. Wow, Luce, didn't know you had it in you, panted Lucy, laughing again. Lucy laughed with him, wrapping her arms around his back and hugging him close. Natsu did the same, but collapsed on his side, so they were both facing each other, still tangled as if no one could pull them apart. Lucy's eyes dropped. Natsu pulled the cover from beneath and placed it over them. They snuggled closer together. I love you, Natsu, Lucy said lazily, moving herself as close to him as she could, and putting her face in his hair. I love you too, Natsu laughed, tightening his hug. Hey, are you going to tell the others about this? Lucy asked quietly, breathing in Natsu's scent. They kind of know. They knew we'd get together at some point, Natsu replied, kissing Lucy's forehead. Does that mean they'll know what we just did? Lucy squealed, imagining everyone grinning at them when they walked into class the next day. She felt embarrassed already. No doubt about it, Natsu laughed, pulling Lucy closer and kissing her again.
Is that it? Is it over now?
That's the end.
Oh God.
Best fanfic, and fuck you, Matt.